Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Fires upfield into the end zone. It is caught. Jelani Woods, touchdown! ISB!
A 43-point night for Tyrese Halliburton.
How do you like that, partner?
Galloway drives all the way to the hole, throws it up, got it! Indiana's got their first lead of this contest.
I mean, that's a goddamn Emmy winner right there.
Now, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this beautiful, absolutely Chamber of Commerce Weather Friday so far here at the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, actually from Golf Club at Eagle Point near the clubhouse today, as the Bloomington Chamber of Commerce is having a gigantic outing. There's about 160 players today, I believe. Don't forget, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, powered by Andy Moore Honda. Just go to andymorehonda.com, get more to your door. And Endeavor Hospitality and the wealth of restaurants in and around the Bloomington area. Great ones like BB's Market, Southern Stone, Cabello, Metalworks Brewing, everything you could ever want. Make sure you stop by and visit our sponsors, each and every one of them. They're the reason we're able to do all the things we do. Go to the places to cover the events for you, get people on. So please make sure you take care of all of our sponsors if you have a need for any of them. Appreciate every one of them. How's everybody doing today? Jim Coyle with you as always on this Friday. And yes, it is M&M Day. Everybody waiting on the decision by Mackenzie Mgbako, and everything that I've seen has been pointing west to Kansas. And you can't blame him, because it's not about the money, because I can guarantee you the money would have been equal. Indiana could easily match the money. It's one thing. Bill Self can tell or told Mackenzie Mgbako one thing that Mike Woodson cannot say. And it's probably the deciding factor. Winning. Playing on a winning team. He's guaranteed to be on a winning team going to Kansas, because they're already the odds-on favorite to win the national championship without him. And yes, IU fans are going to say, well, you could do this or that. But Mike Woodson cannot tell him that. Even if he comes to Indiana, he cannot guarantee him he's going to be on an NCAA deep run type of team. I'm guessing that was or will probably be the decision maker, but we'll find out. It's all guesswork right now. It's all guesswork. How's everybody doing? Lots of folks jumping up on the Andy Moore Honda hotline, and you can do so too. If you're not listening on one of our great radio station, affiliate radio stations around the state of Indiana, 97.7 WREF, always the right call down in Evansville, our River Rats. WJOB 104.7 and 1230 AM up in the region in Chicago, our region rats. Appreciate everyone there. Over in Fort Wayne on 1380, The Fan, down in Marengo and all around wherever you're listening from, if you're on YouTube as well. Could be around the world like our friend Fozan over in Amman, Jordan. Make sure that if you are accessing via YouTube that please hit the subscribe, like, and notifications button. Big Ten, Maryland had a great idea, they thought. They were going to create a streaming network for non-sports types of content. I'm thinking that they're, the stuff that you see Indiana put out on social media, guys in a weight room, just all that work when they have team outings, all that goofy stuff. That would have been put into a content form and streamed to a service that people would have had to pay for. $8 a month, I think it was going to be. Terps Plus is what it was called. It's been in the works for like a year or so. Maryland is working hard on it, getting everything lined out, working with a company called Sports and Story. They're a third party to that. They've set up similar programs at SEC schools like Arkansas, LSU, Mississippi State, South Carolina, Oklahoma State also with them. But the one thing that Maryland failed to do? They didn't tell the Big Ten. Nothing. Nada. Zip. Never thought, the Big Ten's pretty protective of their media rights, and they pay us millions of dollars. Maryland received just under $50 million in their last Big Ten payout. You would have thought someone there would have been smart enough to do that, but they didn't. And as soon as they made the announcement, the announcement was made last fall, and immediately the president of the Big Ten Network sent a terse letter letting them know that not only did the Big Ten have zero knowledge of this, it goes against every piece of language in the media rights agreement. I mean, there's almost specifically. And I get it. They just signed a $7 billion media rights deal. So they want to bring in as much as they can, but it gets doled out to the schools. Maryland is making so much more money than they ever dreamed of in the ACC. That's why they came to the Big Ten. There's no other reason. I mean, that's the reason specifically. They came for the money. Was that bad? They left the ACC for the money to come to the Big Ten. So we talk about players moving. What the hell's the difference? The whole a whole school did it. So there's that. But yeah, that. So all the work they put into that, gone. I think one of the Big Ten basically owns all publishable content from Big Ten schools when it comes to selling. You can put stuff out on social media, on your own website, yada yada. But I'm a little shocked that Maryland was that naive or blatant, I guess I should say. Who knows? But there's that. And these gambling issues, man, they are continuing to pop up. I see more and more. And that's because more and more people are just being found, more and more athletes are being found to have done it. And how far will that spread? It's a question that, not the gambling. I couldn't care less. I'll be honest. Well, that's not true. These guys all have friends. Let's say they're a basketball player, an NCAA basketball player at Indiana, but they've got friends at Xavier. And they know that so-and-so is hurt and is not playing in this particular game, and that the team XYZ that they're playing has a player that matched up with the guy that's hurt, and it doesn't look good, whatever. All that information like that, that's huge in the betting world. Why do you think that the guy that made those bets in Cincinnati that got busted betting on Alabama baseball, why do you think he was talking to the coach? Getting information. What are you thinking today? It's exactly. Basically inside information, inside trading. So that's why student athletes, I mean, that's a reason enough right there that student athletes are not allowed to be betting. Just wondering how far it's going to go. How many will it? What's going to happen with Iowa? I mean, they've got a ton of kids that they found out. Like 111? Was it 111? I believe. But yeah, everyone waiting for the announcement today. Is there a time? Has anyone ever even seen a time?
I was doing some research looking for that, and there is nothing specific for when he's going to announce. So, but it'll likely happen sometime late morning, early afternoon. That's when most of this kind of stuff.
Let me tell you when it'll happen. After we stop. It
will 100%. It'll be at 10:35. Right after we go after. Oh, excuse me. We'll cut that out of the radio, but
yeah, that's a good thing. But yeah, it's. I'm wondering if how far it's gonna go. So we'll find out. Will it?
Oh, never mind that. The chat's going crazy. They know what time. Apparently, on his Instagram, he reported at 6 p.m. he'll be doing the announcement.
Oh, cool. So it's very late for everyone. How are you today? Great. Yes, ma'am. What's your name?
Meredith. I'm actually one of the volunteers.
Got Meredith, a volunteer for the Bloomington Chamber of Commerce meeting here today.
Yeah.
There's one inside, ma'am. Glad I can help you. Just helping all around here today. Jack of all trades.
That's right.
But yeah, the betting is. You just keep hearing, oh, well, this team found that this guy did and whatnot. But we got to take a break. We got more coming up. Alec Bussey is going to join us from Hoosier.com. We'll hear what he thinks on Mackenzie Mgbako and more as he is heading to Dallas, Texas for the EYBL Nike event. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by BB's Market, where you can find the best in-house made products, best in quality beef, and an in-house full-size bakery, and soon the Butcher's Cut coming to BB's. So they're your local butcher, steakhouse, and caterer, no matter where you live. Back with more right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
If you're the damn sun is in that one freaking spot, man.
How's it going, Alec?
All right, guys. How are you?
Can you turn your phone sideways? How's it going? Where are you? Yes.
About like near Wichita, about 20-30 minutes until I'm in Oklahoma.
Wichita County lineman? Wichita lineman? Yeah, that's what it is. How far is Wichita to Dallas? Well, to where this event is actually north of Dallas, isn't it? Northwest?
Yeah, I think so. Wherever the colony is. I don't know. I have a terrible sense of direction. I couldn't.
Yeah, I think it's
me around.
northwest of Dallas.
You could spin me around 3 times, and I wouldn't be able to tell you which way is north. So.
No, I'm diligent about directions and know it's where. Always knowing drives me insane. Who are the main guys that are going to be IU targets that are down here?
Any of the guys that are playing on the EYBL circuit. So you're looking at guys like Jaden Mustaff, who obviously got an official visit in June. Liam McNeely will be down there. Paul McNeil will be down there. Caleb Williams, Austin Swartz got an offer after Atlanta, really good shooter. Honor Boateng is at Adidas, but he's someone else who I really like as well.
Hey, man, would you hand me one of those out of there? I'm sorry. No. That cards, business cards. I was going to give you one, but I got to write something on it. That email's no longer used.
All right. Well, we still
Are
got
you
a
with
minute.
the Big Ten Network or?
No, we're our independent. We're on syndicated around. I'll talk to you in a second. We're doing the show.
That's okay. I'm with the chamber.
I was wrong. What time, John? What's next open time?
We can do 9:30.
Stacy, can you 9:30? Is that okay? Huh? No, I meant for you to come on. We're not here, so we're not on
10
here.
seconds.
Come taste with Dr.
We're not
Hobbs'
on- we're not on
Brewing,
air here.
Metalworks Brewing
We're on
Company.
around
Bring your
WC.
passion and your thirst.
This segment is brought to you by Southern Stone Restaurant. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back on this Chamber of Commerce Friday, literally, as the Chamber of Commerce of Bloomington is having a golf outing here at the Golf Club at Eagle Point today. So, boy, I've never been able to use that phrase more appropriately than that. Alec Bussey joined us from thehoosier.com as he is traveling on his way to Dallas, Texas for this weekend's EYBL. Several Indiana targets will be in action down there. But nothing is more pressing than the M&M decision. Mackenzie Mgbako, which we know now is coming at 6 p.m. What format is he announcing that on? Instagram?
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to be announcing it on Instagram. He seems like he might be announcing on Instagram. That's not public. I would also keep your eyes tuned to Andrew Slater's Twitter account. He seems to be the one that's kind of breaking a lot of the news related to Mackenzie Mgbako's commitment and just recruitment, all things related to it. So Mackenzie Mgbako's Twitter, his Instagram, or I would also keep an eye on Andrew Slater's Twitter account as well.
Absolutely. And everyone's buzzing and wondering and asking, and everything that I'm hearing is pointing towards Kansas. That doesn't mean, but that we've seen that before. What was the kid, the guard that was from Iowa, that transferred, DJ something? We thought he was going someplace, and boom, he ended up at Ohio State. You never know, but the winds are blowing west from what I'm hearing, Alec.
Yeah, it does seem like Kansas is well positioned. He obviously went on an official visit to Lawrence, Kansas a week before taking a visit to Bloomington. Obviously, he was in Bloomington last weekend. And by all accounts, the visit in Indiana did go pretty well. I just think that everything that I'm kind of hearing, people that I've talked to, the expectation, like you said, is that it's going to be Kansas at some point today, that Mackenzie Mgbako is going to commit to Bill Self and the Jayhawks. And obviously that would continue what has been a really impressive offseason for Kansas and the additions that they've been able to make, and maybe also continue a little bit of a somewhat frustrating offseason for Indiana, I guess you could potentially say, considering some of the misses they've had in the transfer portal with the likes of Dalton Connect going to Tennessee, the likes of Chris Ludlam going to Tennessee. But, Indiana's also gotten some guys that they want this offseason. They've gotten Khalil Ware from Oregon. They were able to prevent him from going on an official visit to Alabama. They were able to get Peyton Sparks real early in the offseason, and that's an addition that I'm still pretty bullish on. And then also they got Anthony Walker, a transfer from Miami, who will also play in the front court and gives them a little bit of experience, which is something that I think this Indiana roster still kind of needs right now.
Absolutely, but everyone waiting for this decision and that for filling the remaining spot, what would be the remaining spot for a shooter. Now, Joey Hart from Linton Stockton High School, he was asked for a release from his agreement with Central Florida, and I know he was not a high major recruit. This kid can shoot, and he is back on the board, but he's coming out of high school, and I don't think that is going to fill Indiana's needs in that regard. So they still have to find a shooter that is a ready-to-go shooter, and that means the portal, really, generally. They've been mentioned for quite some time with Jordan Dingle, but that has been a very slow process. What other names are out there? What's Indiana going to do in regards to filling this spot?
Yeah, you mentioned Joey Hart. I don't know how much interest Indiana's going to have there. We know that they expressed some interest in him during his initial recruitment process. He didn't get an offer from Indiana, but he did have some other high major offers. Northwestern offered him. Butler was also another school that was in the mix along with Purdue and Xavier, but I'm pretty sure that only high major offer he had was from Northwestern. And, that's kind of a tough one to evaluate because Northwestern is a different program than a lot of other schools in the Big Ten with the type of players that they tend to recruit. But if you look at some of the other targets in the transfer portal, you talked about Jordan Dingle. That's one that I think Indiana still has interest in, but you said it's slow playing. Hard to disagree with that one, Jim. He obviously would be one of the better additions in the transfer portal. Ivy League Player of the Year, averaged about 23 points a game for Penn last season. I believe he was the second leading scorer in all of college basketball. Really good shooter. But he has good connections with John Calipari in Kentucky. His dad played for Coach Cal when his dad was playing, and Coach Cal was coaching at UMass. So there's a good connection there, but Indiana's got some connections to him on the coaching staff as well. So maybe that one's not completely out of the realm of possibilities. Ray J. Dennis is another name that Indiana has been connected to in the transfer portal. I don't know if that one's actually going to go Indiana's way, though. It seems to be trending a little bit away from them. Yesterday, Ray J. Dennis was on campus at Illinois, not taking an official visit to the Fighting Illini, but we know that Ray J. Dennis is the player that has been heavily linked to Illinois since entering the transfer portal, and he was there on campus yesterday meeting with the coaching staff. I also had some sources at K-State, my previous beat, tell me that they think he's going to be on campus in Manhattan, Kansas at some point, potentially next week. And then I know Baylor's also kind of interested in Ray J. Dennis as well. And then there's a few other targets that have entered the transfer portal this week that are a little bit newer. Former five-star Julian Phillips from Tennessee is someone who entered the transfer portal. He doesn't necessarily fill that shooting role. He shot under 25%, I believe, from 3 last season. But he is a former five-star, really good length, really good talent. He's still declared for the NBA draft, so that's something that Indiana would probably have to fight through. He did receive an invite to the NBA Combine, so just kind of another wrinkle into the Jordan Phillips situation. I will say that he did shoot 35% from beyond the three-point line in SEC play. Not on very good value, but I do think that a potential Jordan Phillips addition would fill a need for Indiana if they do miss on Mackenzie Mgbako. Phillips is someone who I think can play at the 3. He's got really good length. One of the best defenders in college basketball last season, on the best defensive team in college basketball last season. If you look at some of the advanced metrics for Julian Phillips, he was in the 92nd or 93rd percentile, I think, as a defender last season, according to Synergy. And then another name that I've kind of seen enter the transfer portal this week, PJ Fuller, transfer from Washington. He could also kind of slide in and play the 2 or the 3. Not someone who put up impressive shooting numbers either, but he does fill the idea of fitting the need of adding experience, adding older players, adding somebody who is a veteran, because I still think that's something this Indiana roster needs right now. They don't have very many players who have a ton of experience at the college level, aside from Xavier Johnson and aside from Trey Galloway. It's a roster that is largely inexperienced. So PJ Fuller is another name from Washington that I think we could potentially see Indiana track with a little bit as things progress throughout the rest of the month of May.
Earlier, Renata, what did this question ago? I think I missed it, and I apologize. Don't want to do that. Asked, I think this is regarding the recruitment of Mackenzie Mgbako. If facilities have any issue, I'm not sure which facilities you're talking about, because You've got Fog Howland Fieldhouse or Assembly Hall, two of the most iconic facilities in all of college sports. So I think that's kind of equals itself out.
Well, we got breaking news, Jim. Jordan Dingle just committed to St. John's. So disregard everything I just said about Jordan Dingle. Just got a tweet notification from Andrew Slater that Jordan Dingle is committed to St. John's. So you can take him off the board. Like I said, I knew that he was connected to Kentucky a little bit, and then I also knew that St. John's was heavily interested in him as well. And I think Jordan Dingle going to St. John's might have a little bit of connection to St. John's not, being too much in the running for Mackenzie Mgbako as the week kind of progressed this week.
Yeah, that's a gigantic get for Rick Pitino at St. John's. And I mean gigantic because he needed something to start momentum there, and that can do it. Indiana, with all that they've done, they had pulling in Khalil Ware, and they've added Sparks and Walker, but they have not made. Khalil Ware was a great get. It was up there pretty high, but it's like they don't get momentum. You don't feel like that it's moving. It's like they get something, but that's it, and it stops. I don't get the sense that momentum has built during this recruiting deal, and I understand that it's a difficult thing with the portal, but you see a lot of schools at Tennessee, bam, boom, St. John's, that has that's surprising. But Rick Pitino, great track record of putting guards in the NBA. So, but unfortunately, now Indiana, where does Indiana turn? Which I know that's not the only guy they're looking at. You're heading to Dallas for the Nike EYBL. Who are some of the guys that you're going to be watching?
Yeah, really excited to get down to Dallas this weekend. It's going to be my first ever AAU event that I'm taking in person, so that'll be really fun. Obviously, Indiana is an Adidas school, but they still do recruit the Nike circuit a little bit. They'll be looking at guys like Aaron Powell's down there, Dylan Harper's down there, Jaden Mustaff, who set an official visit date to Indiana this week, sometime in June, will be there. Austin Swartz, one of my favorite players on the EYBL circuit so far this summer, is going to be playing down there in Dallas for Boo Williams. Tyler Betsy is another target that'll be playing. Liam McNeely is a name that a lot of Indiana fans know really well, plays at Montverde Academy, one of the top 10 national recruits in the 2024 class, will be playing down there in Dallas. Then Caleb Williams, Darion Reed, and then Marcus Allen is also playing down there in Dallas this weekend. So I'm really looking forward to seeing a couple of those guys, particularly Jaden Mustaff, considering we know that he set an official visit date to Indiana for the second weekend of June next month, obviously about a week away from now. I believe it's June 10th is the day he gets to town in Bloomington for his official visit. And then I'm also really excited to see Austin Swartz. He's someone that I really enjoy his game. I really enjoy watching him shoot the basketball. You're talking about an elite shooter. He won the most outstanding player or some verbiage there from the event in Phoenix that Nike held 2 weekends ago. EYBL took last weekend off, but Swartz was incredible in Atlanta. He earned an offer from Indiana after the first weekend in Atlanta, and then he was really good in Phoenix as well. So I'm really excited to see Austin Swartz play. He's been an electric shooter from everything that I've read and people that I've talked to on the recruiting scene this spring.
Losing Jordan Dingle, if Indiana is to lose Mgbako too, that is going to be two major losses in the same day. And a minute ago, I was talking about the lack of feeling of momentum. Not only would that, to me, create a lack of feeling momentum, but it would almost feel like a drain.
Yeah, I think when you talk about momentum in recruiting, that's something that you'd certainly want. You talked a little bit earlier about Tennessee and how they were able to land Chris Ludlam and Dalton Connect in really short order. I mean, I think that those happened within a couple weekends. We obviously know the success Arkansas has had in the transfer portal the last couple of years, and again this offseason, where they've had a ton of success. And I think that you certainly want to have momentum in the transfer portal, but I also think there's an understanding that patience are really important in the transfer portal. Guys will announce that they're entering the NBA draft and then return to college. I know that the transfer portal closed at midnight. I believe it was last night. So you're not going to see too many more guys enter the transfer portal. I don't think. You might see that paperwork kind of go through and be fully processed at some point today or some point tomorrow. But the guys who are in the transfer portal, I would kind of expect them to be in the transfer portal. You might see a few grad transfers still enter the transfer portal as well. But generally speaking, I think we have a good idea of who's available in the portal and who might be of value in the transfer portal to Indiana. But like I said, I understand that people don't want to have patience anymore with the process because Indiana still has a couple open scholarships and they've missed on some guys that, they really wanted or they really pushed hard for, and they maybe were able to get a visit for, or maybe they weren't as fortunate to do that in terms of getting a visit. But I do think that Indiana, I understand the frustration. I understand the tension that might be coming with it a little bit right now, but don't freak out until, everything is completely over with in the transfer portal, I would say, just because there could be a couple of grad transfers that I've entered. You don't know if Mackenzie Mgbako is going to surprise a lot of people and select Kansas or select Indiana later today. And then there's also a couple other people that Indiana could potentially get in on that we just don't know about yet.
Well, we'll certainly find out. Safe travels on your way down to Dallas in the EYBL event. Looking forward to the reports, and I guess everyone can follow your live coverage at thehoosier.com, right?
Yeah, I would love it if people took advantage of that. We are running a promo code right now for a free 30-day trial. If you go to indiana.rivals.com, you can click on the third or fourth story on the front page right now. It'll take you directly to a link to sign up for that 30-day free trial. Lots of good information going up on the website. We're publishing a ton of content since I took over publishing of the content duties and everything, something I'm really proud of. And then we've got some good information, some good conversation going on the message board. So something that I think Indiana fans would definitely like to take part in. So head over to indiana.rivals.com and give us a chance for a free 30 days. We'd appreciate it. And give me a follow on Twitter too at Alec_Bussey.
Absolutely. All good. Thanks a lot, Alex. Safe travels, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. Have a good one.
Hey, that's Alec Bussey from thehoosier.com. We've got more coming up here from the golf club at Eagle Point, as it's a Chamber of Commerce Day with the Bloomington Chamber of Commerce outing going on here. Brought to you by Go Team. For those on the go, your kids, your team, whomever, it's hard to find fresh tasting food, convenient to eat on the fly. Go Team Bites contain quality protein powder, tastes great, and no mess. GoTeamBites.com, or go to BB's and pick them up. More coming back here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back to the golf club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Boom, boy, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 straight answers on the 6 p.m., baby. They're on it.
That's why I was like, oh, they all know.
They're on it. Well, I knew it had to be, and I figured it was on Instagram. That's the new go-to for the kids.
Evidently.
Oh, I am so glad that K-Bro's on it. Oh, I missed him. That's right, K-Bro. I was thinking of you last night. I saw Kit Klingelhofer and former SID at IU. Recently had open heart surgery, looking great, doing well. But he's a huge Reds fan, and I was wearing this visor yesterday. And he said, "Oh, the Reds won today too, 4 or 5-0, I think." I said, "Oh, who'd they play?" "Oh, the Mets." And I'm like, going, "K-Bro." So I was thinking about you last night, brother. The Reds. Here come the Reds. In second to last place, here come the Reds. Why? Oh, man, I did watch the movie Air last night. Absolutely, that Tennessee guy. Yep. But you know what? Doesn't matter. We can just throw them. People can throw all the names out they want. Yeah.
Let me text Zach. Make sure he's the one who told me 9:10. So.
Hey, how you been? Good. Hey, John. What is our?
Yes, sir.
9:30.
What'd you say? Yeah, 9:30. Oh, actually, 9:30. Jeffrey the Greek said he's not coming on, so 9:30, 9:50 are both open.
All right, 9:30. Stacy, 9:30. 20 minutes. I'm sorry. I got to go get a chair for you, too. I thought of that earlier. I'm like going,
Okay, well, I'll just bring it.
man, that stupid sunspot. It's getting better now. The sun's getting up. Where are my glasses? I can't see. I should have got my. Hey, is my sound okay? I didn't get the microphone out yet. Man, I would never know where that was.
All right, Zach should be on momentarily.
Pardon?
I just said Zach should be on momentarily. Here we go.
Cook up. The Fresh Fork takes care of all the planning, shopping, and prepping and can even deliver them to your doorstep once a week. That's right, it's the fastest, simplest, and easiest way to avoid decision fatigue. You pick your plan and pick up at BB's Market with no extra charge. So leave the heavy lifting to us and enjoy healthy eating with stocked meals in your fridge. Order online today at thefreshfork.com. Fresh Fork is a proud partner of WOW Network. This segment is brought to you by RE/MAX Advanced Realty, Indie Home Pros team by Cheryl Sizemore. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Get muted yourself, Jim. Nothing. Nothing, Jim.
Finally.
Here we go. You're back.
Everybody, on this beautiful Friday here at the Golf Club at Eagle Point. Bloomington Chamber of Commerce having their golf outing today. Brought to you by our good friend Cheryl Sizemore. If you're in the Indianapolis area looking for a home, you need Cheryl and her 2 decades of experience. It could be the difference between you getting the home you want or not. Reach out to her, Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com. She would greatly appreciate it, as would I. She's a great supporter, fan. So help those who help you, in essence. Decision day for Mackenzie Mgbako, and like I said, the winds are not seeming to blow in Indiana's favor. Doesn't always matter, because sometimes maybe some people put out or things leak out that are purposely leaked out. You never know. I completely understand, would completely understand that decision. As I said earlier, it's simple. Bill Self can say one thing that Indiana cannot. Indiana can match the money. Indiana can match the facilities. Indiana can match the prestige. Indiana can match the television time. They can match everything. But there's one thing they cannot match. And that is a guarantee to play on a winning team, a team that will contend for a national championship. Not one that can, one that will, one that is the odds-on favorite. He's only going to be in school for a year. I don't think he wants a maybe. And that would be my guess. But we'll find out. We could be completely wrong. We'll find out. Looking forward to talking to Zach. I was looking forward to talking to Zach to get his take on it.
He'll be with us shortly. He's having some things he's trying to get.
Oh, I got you.
So he'll be back.
Probably
he'll be on
dead
shortly.
movies. So if Indiana just lost Jordan Dingle, and it looks like apparently they might not get Mgbako, where does Indiana go? And they're close on everybody. They seem to be on virtually everybody's Final Four list. Now a Final Two with Mgbako. They're close, but not sealing the deal. And in some instances, I understand. Mackenzie Mgbako. He's only going to be playing for one season, most likely. He can go win a national championship at Kansas and get paid a ton. But guys like Jordan Dingle, he's going to St. John's. They can't match Jack, except for one thing. They have Rick Pitino. And Rick Pitino is probably the best and greatest coach in college basketball today. He is a hell of a coach. I'm assuming he must have picked that over everything else, or Rick Pitino has convinced them that they got to open up the checkbook, baby. But even with that, St. John's is not I don't expect them to have a 1-year turnaround. Everything's possible, but that's an absolute maybe. An absolute maybe. That's without Indiana is in much better shape than that. Indiana is 2 guys away from probably being able to contend for a national championship. Not being a favorite, but to contend. And boy, they just cannot get over the hump. But who knows? Things happen at the last minute. There's still these guys with the draft that are going to be coming, not whether they get drafted or not, or don't like the spot. Michael asking if I would recommend the movie Air. Absolutely. Just watched it last night. We'll talk more about that later. Zach Osterman from Indy Stars. A couple things, Zach. How are you? How are you first, brother?
I'm good. Sorry, I'm being attacked by a dog here.
That's all right, man.
We're wound up because we had a truck in the driveway. So,
I never saw how the Indiana alumni soccer team did in the soccer tournament first game.
I didn't either, to be honest.
Results? That just came to my every time I see you. I think of soccer. So, pardon me. Jordan Dingle, just news breaking that he is headed to St. John's and Rick Pitino, which a great get for St. John's because they're at the beginning of whatever Rick Pitino is building. And obviously, St. John's cannot match Indiana in any way other than they have Rick Pitino, who puts guys in the NBA, is a hell of a coach. I just said to me, he's the best coach in the game today. But if they lose Mgbako and then they've lost Dingle, where does Indiana turn next?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, and on the one hand, I mean, St. John's is, I think, my understanding is basically more or less in Jordan Dingle's neighborhood. I think he grew up very near there, on the island in New York. That being said, yeah, I mean, Indiana never really seemed to get any traction with Dingle. I think they really wanted to be involved, and it just never seemed to move anywhere for them. And if you don't get Dingle, it seems like nothing ever really heated up with Ray J. Dennis, and obviously Mackenzie Mgbako. If he winds up at Kansas, I mean, you're not back to square one. You've rebuilt your front court, which was necessary. I mean, it basically left in its entirety between players that graduated, went to the draft, or transferred. and you still have obviously also some projects, some players like a Caleb Banks, who I think still has a really, really high ceiling and could be very good at the Big Ten level. I don't want to call him a project. That seems a bit harsh. But it's clear Indiana felt it needed more top-line reinforcement at the 2-3 spots, based on just the way it's been recruiting, the players it's been targeting. And the fact that, if you can't get at least Mgbako, then you are really going to have to come up with some alternate plans pretty fast. And you're going to, by that point have moved a little bit far down the list in terms of what, where you were and what you wanted versus what you might wind up with.
And a lot of people end up in that position. And I know that you don't have the answer, and neither do I. If we did, we'd be magical, I guess. But I can't understand, to be honest with you, how they're missing out on so many of these guys when I know that it's hard to match Indiana in facilities. Indiana can match anyone with NIL money, with all of the glitz and glamour. Like with Mackenzie Mgbako, I said earlier that the one thing that Bill Self has told him that Mike Woodson can't is that you're guaranteed to play on a team that is predicted to win the national championship before you arrive. He's only going to be a one-year player, so that's a pretty big draw for him.
Listen, I mean, first of all, anybody who commits to Kansas, like, you can't really argue with them committing to Kansas right now. Like, that's, there might not be, at the moment, a more sure thing program just on a year-to-year level in the country. Even if you look past that to other guys, I mean, listen, you can feel like you've got a lot of NIL money, but that doesn't mean other schools don't have lots themselves. And that doesn't mean that, maybe another school, there might be an opportunity for more money at another school, or, different opportunities at another school. At the end of the day, recruiting is still going to come down to how you connect with coaches a little bit. I mean, listen, I remember North Carolina fans, when Cody Zeller committed in 2011, I guess that was November of 2010, being like, what are you doing? Like, we just won a national title. We're at the top of our game. This is, Roy Williams has, I mean, at that point, you can make an argument North Carolina was the most sure thing program in the country. And Roy Williams was quietly building something much more successful than what Mike Krzyzewski was doing at Duke at the same time. I'll say much more successful. Krzyzewski just won a national title too, to be fair. But the point is, North Carolina fans said, well, your brother went to UNC and we're winning, championships for fun. What are you doing going to Indiana, where they haven't done anything in years and they hit rock bottom a couple years ago and blah, blah, blah. My point is, there will always be a personal aspect to recruiting that, like, and I don't want to speak for him, but maybe Jordan Dingle just really didn't want to move further away from home. He's a New York kid. He played at Penn. Maybe he said, I'm going to move, no further than this from home, or I'm going to get closer to home. Like that can just be a part of it. You can say, well, we've got these opportunities. And they say, yeah, but I've got an Ivy League degree. I'm playing one more year of college, maybe two. It's kind of unclear to me what the situation is going to be with those Ivy League kids who have a COVID year but didn't play at all during the COVID year because the Ivy League didn't compete. But the point is, somebody like that may look at it and say, I've got one more year and then I'm turning pro. I just want to be closer to home, and like, everybody's going to have their own, wants and needs, and you connect with this coach, or you don't like that campus, or that coach lays out a role for you and you just think like, I don't know if that's really what I want to do. My point is, listen, Indiana has struck out more often here in the spring portal window than I think they would have hoped. I'm not disputing that. But by the same token, I don't think it's just because Indiana is somehow not leveraging all of its assets so much as I think it's just that, ultimately You don't get every guy you compete for. NIL helps, but you don't get every guy you compete for. And when you are in a position where you just know by the nature of attrition, graduation, and the draft that you're going to turn over a lot of talent at once. Sometimes that's too much to replace. And people say, well, what's Indiana going to do? Well, I don't know. Maybe they just won't be as good. I'm not sure. It's May 12th. We can't say anything definitively yet, but it's just kind of like, recruiting's not an exact science, both in terms of how to identify talent and who's going to be good and how to rank them and so forth, and also in terms of how to get the guys you want most of the time.
Yeah, it's I'm a little surprised. I have to say that you've been around a long time covering this program, and I know this is a different era, so it's not, you can't compare this. Hell, you can't compare this to 5 years ago. But are you surprised at the fact that they haven't hit a few more bigger hits?
I think what I would say is it feels like, and listen, if you've got information to share, then I'm all ears. I'm still not confident in where Mackenzie Mgbako is going. I know it seems like a lot of the wind is blowing toward Lawrence. Nobody's given me a firm reason to sort of understand why. And I see, and this is a tangent, but this is not me predicting he's coming to Indiana. I want to be really clear. But when there is, he and his family have kept their own counsel so well through this process.
Yeah, it's been a very tight process.
And what can happen sometimes when there's an information void, and this just isn't in recruiting, you see it in coaching searches and things too. When there's an information void, but people are intensely interested in this thing that's going on, somebody rushes to fill it, and suddenly it becomes the world's worst game of telephone. People bouncing back and forth. This is what I've heard. This is what, and then absolute rumors become gospel, and everything moves in a certain direction. I remember when Theo Pinson was down to IU in North Carolina, and conventional wisdom with all of us held that Theo Pinson was going to IU because we thought he's from North Carolina. If he was going to North Carolina, he would have committed by now. We'd know it by now. Like if he was going to UNC, there's no way he'd be able to keep that secret in Roy Williams' backyard. We would know that he's going to North Carolina. So he must be going to Indiana. And it wasn't until a couple hours before the commitment when word started to leak out that, a few different things. I remember a couple different AAU coaches contacting me and being like, hey, I have a 2-3 hybrid guard wing that Indiana was recruiting that they haven't called about in 5 months. Why are they calling me this afternoon? And I thought, well, somebody must have gotten some bad news then. My point is, I'm not prepared to say I know where Mackenzie Mgbako is going. And this conversation probably changes a little bit if he picks Indiana. I think it's probably fair to say, it feels like Indiana maybe should have one more hit in the spring than it's got so far. You do also wind up a little bit in the my son has a children's book called Zen Shorts, and there's a story about like the Zen master and the little boy. The little boy gets a horse, and everyone says, "How wonderful!" And the Zen master says, "We'll see." And then the little boy falls off the horse and breaks his arm, and then everyone says, "How terrible!" And the Zen master says, "We'll see." And then a war starts, and all the young men of the village are taken away to fight, except the little boy because he's got a broken arm. And everyone says, "How wonderful!" And the Zen master says, "We'll see." Recruiting can also work that way sometimes. Again, I'm kind of rambling here, but I remember in football when Indiana wanted Gunnar Kiel, Monty Medeiros, and a running back name, I think his name was David Smith. And they didn't get any of them. And instead they got Nate Sudfeld, Tevin Coleman, and Ricky Jones. And Nate Sudfeld, Tevin Coleman, and Ricky Jones all wound up having better college careers than, and I'm not picking on them, but Gunnar Kiel, Monty Medeiros, and David Smith. And so
DJ Carton comes to mind. I think of DJ Carton from just a few years ago.
Yeah.
I forget where he thought he was going, but he ended up, it was like, wow, where did the hell did Ohio State come out?
And again, it just like recruiting is an inexact science, so it's not the easy. It's not as easy as saying, well, they should just have one more win. They should have just gotten one more player or whatever. They could have recruited somebody who wasn't very good and probably gotten one more player. But I certainly think, put it this way, at very least, I think Indiana needs one more option somewhere along the line. One more major addition.
We've got to take a break. Joey Hart just got his requested his release. Not sure had an Indiana offer before. Not sure if that'll be something that's rekindled or not. We'll find out. But what's up next for you, Zach?
Trying to get the dog out from under my desk, probably.
That's a great chore to have on a Friday, and we appreciate you. We'll let you get to that.
We're having some self-control issues.
What's the name there?
Come here, Mo. Come here, Mo.
Mel?
Mo. Come here, Mo.
Oh, I love. We got a Mo. Man, we have all kinds. Someone said we should change the name to the show to Indiana Sports Bark Radio.
This is Mo.
We have so many. Maxine with that's Rick Bozich, I believe. I can't remember Kristen Aries' dog.
No, Maxine is Dustin DePierix, isn't it?
Oh.
Yes. Maxine is Dustin's
Maxine's
dog.
Dustin's dog. Yes.
Bozich has Ruby.
Ruby's Jesus. I know more people's dogs' names than I know their kids. It's crazy. Zach, I hope you have a great weekend, man.
We'll do our best. Thanks for having me. Sorry I was a little late.
Zach Osterman from the Indy Star. Make sure you follow him and be a subscriber.
Bye,
I am. We've got more coming up here from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios as the Bloomington Chamber of Commerce is having their outing here today. And we'll be back with plenty more. Tyler Harris of Hoosiers for Good joins us later and plenty more. Back right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
If you're in the market, what time is it? 9:30.
9:30.
Oh,
yeah.
Chamber of Commerce, right?
Yep.
It's open.
My sunglasses. I got my money in my golf bag. Let's look at my sunglasses.
Got about 1 minute, Jimbo.
All right, John. Son of a bitch. I never put my signs out. Give me a countdown,
Okay.
please. Trying to do the sign at the same time. Can't believe I forgot this. What is it? Sign. Put this thing on it, sign. I'm an idiot.
All right, 40 seconds.
All right, keep counting.
I'll give you every 20.
Oh,
All right, we're at 20 seconds. At 10, I'll turn the ads back on, and you'll know we have 10 seconds.
Variety of cheeses, gourmet sandwiches, entrees, a coffee bar, bread, pastries, all made fresh and mouthwatering. Stop by Feast Market and Cellar today.
This segment is brought to you by Feast Market and Cellar. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hey, welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this beautiful Friday. I keep saying that as the clouds roll in. There is a possibility of precipitation here today. Echo told me last night that there was a possibility of rain between 6 and 8, and it does not look like that happened. But then again, around noon, I believe. So hopefully not. Hopefully not. Just saw Mike Glascott from WGCL here in Bloomington. He's playing, and I've got to fill in for him. He just asked me because he's got to leave to go do his show. I'm like going, yeah. Hell yes, I'll fill in. Of course, that's when it'll rain. You can guarantee yourself that. Tim's a big Reds fan. Don't get a lot of compliments. Well, that's not true. Yesterday, Kit Klingelhofer. Yeah, say, I love the Reds visor. A lot of Reds fans out there just don't hear much anymore because we stink. Dylan says, let's not freak out about Dingle. He was okay, nothing spectacular. That's true. Well, it's not that you're right, but he was a guy that would work. That was a piece that would have worked into this puzzle. And there have been others, but they're not getting them. And that is, I would love to know why, because they're not all the same. The reason for Dingle is completely different than the reason for Mgbako. Probably more similar to the reasons the guys that went to Tennessee. But Robert says that IU needs better players and they need shooters. Yes. And they have to have that to be. I've said this 1,000 times. If you want to be competitive, you've got to have elite players. And they have a good team, but it's not a team that can compete for a Big Ten title, much less a deep run in the NCAA tournament. Stacy, and Stacy is going to join me from the Bloomington Chamber of Commerce here. Appreciate you joining us, Stacy.
Hey, I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, this is a gigantic event, man.
It is.
I was up here last night, and I was like, what the hell, Jeff Schroeder, pro, tents all over the place, and you could tell it was massive. And 100 and how many people?
We have 28 teams, and this is the first time we've had the golf outing back since 2019 because of COVID and just everything that was going on. So we're excited to be back. This is our first time back. It's our 37th annual Chamber Golf Outing. And now we're back. Gonna carry on the tradition.
That's incredible. That's a long time, man.
Yeah.
When year was that? Did that make it start? Back in the 80s?
Before that. Yeah, a little bit before. No, early 80s. Yep.
See, and I'm on it.
He's on it.
This ADHD brain works in weird ways, man.
The Chamber's over 100 years old, so we started this about midway through almost.
Well, that's awesome. Well, the great showing shows obviously great support for this. What does the Chamber of Commerce do? How do they benefit? Bloomington and
Oh, the chamber is for all of local businesses to grow in Bloomington. Our motto is better business, better community. We want businesses to grow so we can have a better community in our town. We help businesses small to extra large. We want to keep people here. We want to help them with everything from HR needs to professional development to networking. And we're here to help businesses connect with one another and just thrive so our community thrives.
do you know what NIL is?
National. Yes, it's for sports. And
Yes.
they get paid now. And I
Yes.
think we have a big announcement today.
Is that
Do
right?
we? I think maybe.
Are you talking about the player?
Yeah.
Well, he has a big announcement.
He has a big yeah. Well, I think the whole town's ready for an announcement, right?
Yeah.
Maybe not.
They may not be ready after 6:02.
Oh.
The announcement's being made at 6 p.m. tonight, and I'm not sure they're going to be happy at 6:01.
Oh. Well, see, you asked the wrong person because I
know.
I'm not big on
Well, let me tell you this.
But I've heard the buzz that there is an announcement going to be made today. I didn't know if it's going to be good or bad.
Well, you know as much on that as any of us do because it's been kept in the dark.
Okay.
Do you guys get involved in like with IU sports or in any way? How does that blend?
We do. We actually have been working with IU Sports Properties. They want to connect with local businesses to obviously promote local businesses within IU, like Assembly Hall and things like that. We do some cross promotions with them to utilize some of their really nice venues like Hankey Hall. We're doing a huge member appreciation night in June at the South Lobby at Assembly Hall. So we want to try and merge the community with the IU community because we're all one big place and we can't survive without them and they can't survive without us. So we want to just be one big happy family.
This people.
Yeah.
Synergy, baby.
Synergy.
You got to have it. Are you playing today?
I am kind of overseeing this whole thing.
I just found out I'm playing today.
Are you? Great.
Mike Glascott, he has to leave to go do his show.
Okay.
At a certain time. He said, "Hey, you feel?" I'm like, "I'm in."
Well, we're gonna have a great day. We have holes on. We have cars on holes. We have 4 other hole sponsors. Curry Buick is graciously brought out an Equinox. Brought out an Equinox for us. We have 4 other hole sponsors. We have a bourbon hole where there's 15 really nice bottles of bourbon going to be.
That's a hell of an idea. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. We also have Bloomington Brewing Company with a beer truck out there giving samples. And then, of course, Sam's.
Probably I would have liked to. We should have gotten Metalworks Brewing out there.
Well, we tried. You know what? Their truck was broke down.
And man, that awesome. They have an awesome.
Yeah.
The truck she's talking about is not just any truck.
But
this thing is
Metalworks
awesome.
is actually here. So he's playing today, Mike Ross, over the whole Endeavor Wow Food Group. So we're happy to have them out here.
Endeavor's our main sponsor.
Perfect. So they're all out playing. And then Sam's here, everyone, the food is great. They're doing box lunches. We're having a nice cocktail reception with appetizers afterwards. So as long as the rain holds off, and actually, if we start dry, who cares if we end wet? We're happy to be here.
It's all fun, baby.
It's all fun.
It's all about fun.
It's all fun. We have 27 teams, 18 hole sponsors. We have a lot of people out here today, about 200 and some people.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
When you think about it. I mean, a golf course is a massive place, but when you start and you end and they're all together, you see a lot. I'm checking this weather forecast for you. We're going to get the radar up to the date and see what's happening, where we are. Where are we with the weather in Bloomington?
Where
I know
we need to be.
We've got people listening all over, but I think we're in good shape, man.
I do too.
Nothing. Oh, look at it. Moving it.
It's
North.
totally going to miss us.
Exactly.
Look, there's a hole, and we're in it.
Boom,
Woo,
baby. See? You got to have faith.
I got this. I have faith. I'm the most optimistic, positive person you'll ever meet, and there is no rain going to hit this outing today.
That's all you gotta hear. What's up next after this? Just some sleep and
Well,
planning for it again.
we're going to do this again next year, and we're just going to carry it on. But as for me, Chamber has like 70 events. I am over member services and programming, so I have a lot more events this year. But as for this weekend, I'm a mom, and it's Mother's Day, so I'm going to rest.
Happy Mother's Day.
Yep. This is my last big thing, and I can enjoy the weekend and maybe come out to the brunch.
Wait a minute. Is Mother's Day Sunday?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Mother's Day Sunday, and I got a little 14-year-old that's going to hang out with her mama on Sunday.
I'm sure that's going to be a very, very special day for my daughter, Kylie, whose 20th birthday is Sunday, and her mom. So I didn't realize that was on the same day.
Here's
that is
your
never
reminder.
Not
about the birthday, but
we're
about
not
the mom.
married anymore, so I'm not responsible for that end. The other end cost me enough, so we're good.
Yeah.
But
Gotcha.
no. But I can't thank you enough. Looking forward to it.
Fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anytime.
We'll see you
Anytime.
on the course.
Well, I meant to ask. We have tons of listeners in Bloomington, but we have a great portion of our audience is out and around all over the world, but all over Indiana. We're on stations in Fort Wayne or Evansville, like I said, the region in Chicago, down in Southern Indiana. What businesses? I'm sure there are businesses that reach out to those communities, or their business crosses over to those. Do you all help with finding that or helping them with that?
Well, so obviously we're focused on our local business community, but we also do outreach all over the state with the Indiana Chamber, and then we do outreach with other chambers. We learn how they're doing things. We are constantly working to improve with other chambers to get ideas to help us, promote business. So we all kind of work together to learn from one another and support business however we can throughout the state, because we want Indiana obviously to thrive as well.
Please tell me your husband's first name is Bruce.
It's Mike Bruce. I have two first names, and
I wanted it to be Bruce so bad.
It's Mike Bruce.
And I'm not making fun. I'm just having a little laugh. Her last name's Bruce, Stacy Bruce. But can you imagine if your name was Bruce? Bruce?
Nope. It's Mike Bruce. And he actually.
They should have done that. That would have been cool. Bruce.
Yeah. He's an avid golfer, and he's worked for a company for 28 years and not planning a golf outing today. And funny, he said, "I'll come help you today, hun." And I said, "Well, that would be great, because I haven't seen you in a while because we're both so busy." And I said, "Did you bring your clubs?" He goes, "Well, someone might need a player." I'm like, "You're always thinking about golf."
Yeah. You got it. It's what you got to do. Well,
right.
Stacy, I cannot thank you enough.
Hey,
good luck with everything.
fun.
We'll see you soon.
Okay.
Have it very much. Appreciate Stacy joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Friday. I know it's a little departure from our normal content, but when in Rome. Now back to what you all want to talk about.
Break.
After this break that's coming up, don't forget Metalworks Brewing Company, part of the Endeavor Hospitality Network. Make sure you stop by off the square on 6th Street, or you can go to any of the Endeavor locations. Metalworks is the culmination of a passion for beer, food, and custom metal art, located just off the square. Like I said, bring your passion and your thirst. Back with more ISB Radio right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
What time is it? It's 9:50.
It is.
Oh, it's Tyler Harris, right? No. What's 10? What's 9?
Tyler Harris is 10-10.
Okay, what's 9:50?
Nothing.
Nothing like a stunning of my mind. Misty morning, the way we were. I don't have any idea how that song got into my head. Easy. The Cardinals are stinking it up, man. So oh, yes. Thank you. great series this weekend. Wow, that's a great comment, Dylan. I think Dingle does a little bit more than that, but because he's something that Indiana does not have and desperately needs. Hey, Jason. Appreciate you, brother. Man, I have a funny story about Eric Davis. I was up after a Reds game, and we were in the clubhouse, and I had gotten a friend of mine a credential to help me. And I just told him, I said, just don't do anything. Act like you know what you're doing. Act like you're supposed to be here. Dumbass. He was just walking around looking like a goof, and he had stopped and he was just staring at Eric Davis's locker. And Davis comes walking out, buck naked from the shower, and walks up to him, says, "Something in there belong to you?"
All right, here we go.
No dining experience. With weekly specials, quick, attentive service, Southern Stone Restaurant provides delicious 5-star comfort food with a Southern charm at 2-star prices. Southern Stone Restaurant is part of Endeavor Hospitality's Wow Club.
This segment is brought to you by Courtroom Sports Grill in Bedford. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Friday of Mother's Day weekend. Appreciate you being with us. Coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios up at near the clubhouse, as the Bloomington Chamber of Commerce having their 39th annual outing. Congratulations to them. Huge turnout. Tyler Harris joins us in the next segment. He is the executive director of Hoosiers for Good, Indiana's official NIL arm. And, of course, going to talk to him about recruiting, but there's only so much that people in his position can say. And there's only so many places, positions that you want to put them in by asking those questions. He's not the guy he's not doing the recruiting. He raises the money. And Indiana, I will say this, and I know because the people I talk to, the one thing I'm really, really confident in is that Indiana does it the right way. And I mean, they're not cheating. Little things. Coaches are not allowed to talk numbers with these kids. Mike Woodson can't say, "Hey, okay, we want you so bad. You're the greatest, yada, yada, yada. And we have an NIL incentive package for you at $800,000, blah, 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 to do this and this and this and yada, yada." He can't do that. They can't hand them that. They can tell them what the possibilities are, and those possibilities are usually pretty firm numbers. I'm not saying that that's what is going on. I wonder, Mike Woodson seems to have been out of pocket for a while. Knee surgery, and haven't heard much from him. And I'm not saying that he is, but I'm just wondering, has he been out of pocket too much on the recruiting scene? Has that hurt Indiana? I know that Brian and Yasir and Kenya Hunter are out working their butts off recruiting, but they're not the head guy. And sometimes that matters to people. I watched the movie Air last night, the movie on Michael Jordan. Pretty cool. Learned a lot. I'm a big Adidas guy. But boy, oh boy, did Adidas screw up. And Sonny Vaccaro was something. Phil Knight was a character. Man, Phil Knight reminds me of Dr. Jerry Buss. Both started something from nothing and turned it into something massive. Dr. Jerry Buss, of course, with the Lakers, buying that franchise in 79-80. And, of course, Sonny Vaccaro and what he did with it. He started the Dapper Dan tournament. And the Jordan brand now brings in annually $4 billion. Michael Jordan's a billionaire because of this. His first contract paid him $250,000 a year. But his mom was smart enough to demand and get a piece of the action. He was the first athlete to get a percentage of the sales of the shoes. Now, he only gets 5% now, which I thought was a little low, but I guess it's not. But they sell billions and billions. It's an incredible story. I would absolutely recommend watching it. It's a good movie. It's so informative. Adidas, as it was actually called. I also learned that Adolf Dassler, as Sonny Vaccaro pointed out, was his real name, and he used Adi because he didn't want to use Adolf over there in Germany. But in the movie, Sonny Vaccaro was talking, and he says that Adi was a Hitler Youth, that he saw a picture of him wearing something with a swastika on it. So that was a little yikes. But they are an old German company, and so that kind of stuff is not surprising to have been there, but he's long dead. Nike was just a running shoe company, not really into basketball. They were a German company, and they matched the $250,000, but not the royalty. Didn't think he was worth it. And Michael Jordan said all Adidas had to do was come close because he loved Adidas. All he did was wear Adidas. When he had to wear other shoes for games, immediately afterwards, he wore Adidas in practice, before and after the games. Good movie. Worth watching for certain. This weekend, if you are around the Bloomington area, head out to the BART, baby. You've got a great series between Purdue and Indiana, as I believe this closes out Indiana's home slate as they head towards the Big Ten tournament. But great weekend to see that. It's always a great weekend to do anything. And, of course, we've got the Nike EYBL going on in Dallas. Alec Bussey will be down there. You can go to thehoosier.com for complete coverage on that. The NBA Finals. Boston back in the finals. They defeated Joel Embiid and the 76ers last night in a hell of a game. Sixers down, came back, made a great game of it. And have to look and see who won last night. On the Western side, I know that Denver was playing Phoenix, but I fell asleep before the game was over. I couldn't stay up that late. And let's see Denver was leading that series 3-2. I know that. So if Denver won last night, finals are set. If not, we've got a game 7 coming. I can't even see to pick up my app to get the standings. It's not a lot. We've had so much going on that this is finally a relaxed sports weekend, I guess you'd say. We had the Kentucky Derby last week. There was so much news going on. A little breather, but Indianapolis is starting. You've got all the events that are going on up there. Thank you, Philip. Denver and Boston. Pretty good. I don't know if TV would have wanted Boston and 76ers because it's so much East Coast, maybe, but now you've got a West Coast team. Sorry about that noise there, folks. It'll stop in a second. Food truck backing up. But Denver in the finals. And Boston knocks out. Oh, I'm trying to think of the coach of the 76ers now. Last night I was asking who has he not coached? Well, I'm getting conflicting reports. Now, Michael said that Boston and the 76ers are going to game 7 tomorrow. So, Philip, you smack on the hand. You led me astray. So, an exciting game 7. So, retract what I just said a minute ago about those NBA finals. You get to watch an exciting finals or conference finals between Denver and 76ers. Now, that gives Joel Embiid another opportunity to rectify this. Who would you rather see in the finals, Boston and the 76ers or Denver? I know television. I don't know. There's just so much East Coast people there, but you guys don't care about the NBA, but you should. A lot of names in there recently out of college. And at least with the NBA, you can watch them this year and have a pretty good knowledge of who all is going to be on the team next year. You cannot say that about college sports, and especially college basketball right now. You know what I mean? Do you know how many people Kansas is added to their roster this year? If Mgbako chooses Kansas, he will be the 8th new player out of, let's say, you got 13 scholarship players, and he's the 8th new one. Only 5 guys on the team from last year. Do you think any of those 5 guys are going to play much? Probably not, but and it's going to be interesting. KJ Adams, he cannot enter the portal. Now, the portal's closed as of midnight last night. So if he did not stick his name in there, he's not going anywhere. And I've not heard anything to that nature. So Kansas already had a guy that was starting in the position that Mgbako would be taking. But don't forget, like Zach said, Zach Osterman, he's not saying that he's going to come to Indiana, but you don't know until you know. And yes, again, like Zach said, the winds are blowing. Everything we're hearing is pointing towards Kansas. That don't mean jack. That could be purposeful misdirection. It could be absolutely true. Like I said, I understand it. They are a winner. They're going to be a winner. Guaranteed winning team. Probably guaranteed a conference championship ring. Potentially a national championship ring. And he's only going to be there 1 year. If he was a 2-year guy, I think Indiana would have a hell of a lot better chance. I'm not saying they don't have a chance, but it's going to be interesting. We've got to take a break. We've got plenty more coming up. Tyler Harris from Hoosiers.com, from Hoosiers for Good will join us, and we'll talk about how it's working. We got that coming up. Brought to you by Hank's Pizza Mac. Hoosier Hank, you see there, located on North College, 1280 North College, 812-330-0000. Delivery, pizza, top bowls, mac bowls, anything your little heart desires. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
If you're in the
Here's Mr. Tyler Harris.
Hey.
What's going on?
I'm surprised you're not playing in this outing here.
Yeah, I know. I should be playing golf today.
Well, no, it's Chamber of Commerce meeting. There's Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
And it's freaking gigantic.
Yeah. Maybe I'll head down that way here soon.
I would suggest it, man. There are a ton of people, like 200 people here.
I just always happen to keep my clubs in my truck just in case.
I understand that. It's like keeping the jack in there.
Exactly right.
How are you, sir?
Good. Busy, but good.
Yeah.
Staying busy, I guess, is what keeps me employed. So,
you're responsible for recruiting, man.
I don't know about that. I don't know.
You're going to be when I lay it on you here in a minute.
Oh man,
I'm kidding. I would never do that.
Why are we talking about recruiting? Is there a certain?
I've already said. John, my daughter's deciding what dress she's going to wear Sunday. Yeah. Oh shit! I forgot what I was going to say. But yeah, that's at 6 p.m.
Interesting.
That's surprising. I feel like these decisions usually don't happen this late during the day.
No, and on a Friday. That's news dump. That's what you call news dump time.
Yeah.
That's when people want to put stuff out that they don't like or didn't really want to put out. You put it out after 5 o'clock on a Friday.
But this wouldn't seem like it'd be one of those things, you know?
No.
Well, I'll be down at the Smithville Diamonds. My daughter has a softball game at 5:45. So,
where are the Smithville Diamonds?
Smithville? I don't know.
Down.
It's like it's not too far from Monroe. Like,
yeah, you're
actually close to your neck of the woods.
Yeah, I know. I've been by it. I think I know where it is.
I've been down there. I've been down there. Well, I was supposed to go down Monday, but it was rained out. I was down there Tuesday night, Wednesday night, last night, tonight. and then son and daughter have baseball and softball practice tomorrow. So I'll be down there 5 days this week.
All right, here we go.
Brews and will be offered in all Endeavor Hospitality restaurants. Come taste with Dr. Hobbs' Brewing, Metalworks Brewing Company. Bring your passion and your thirst.
This segment is brought to you by K-Bello. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here at the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios on this Chamber of Commerce Friday. Literally, as I said, the Bloomington Chamber of Commerce having their 37th annual golf outing here at Eagle Point. And it is a great showing, 200 people out here. More importantly, Tyler Harris from Hoosiers for Good, Indiana's official NIL collective, joins us now. How's it going, man?
Good. I'm not sure, I'm more important than that, but I appreciate the nice comments.
Oh, absolutely. Well, everybody thinks you're in charge of recruiting now. It's your responsibility to make sure Indiana lands those guys. And so just wanted to make sure that you got that laid on you.
Yeah. Well, I looked at my employment agreement before I came on, and I didn't see that anywhere. So
not in the job description.
Not in the job description.
Not in the job description. I said earlier, I'm just kidding with Tyler, but I said earlier that is not his responsibility. His responsibility is dealing with the people, raising the funds, building the Hoosiers for Good and Hoosiers Connect up with, along with Colin Hartman. And one of the things you guys are doing for that new is the event that's coming up at Huber's at the end of this month, which is always an incredibly popular event with, I don't know, 1,000 people, 900 people, I think. It's always sold out. It's a unique opportunity. It's the only one that I know of its kind for Indiana, and it's been going on for 3 decades. The Southern Indiana Alumni Association started this as just having Bob Knight come down and talk. I think it was around 91 that they started this, and it has blossomed into this. Then the varsity club kind of took over, and now this has become an operative for the NIL collective for Indiana. And I sent out a story that I think that this is actually really cool because it gives other sports besides basketball the opportunity for their coaches to meet with local business owners. There could be a business owner that their daughter's a big volleyball player, big in the ball, because there's Southern Indiana has there's big volleyball clubs in Louisville. Steve Ayer doing a good job building that program up, but the Big Ten's the toughest conference in the country in volleyball, so they've got to be better than what you would think, and that takes this baseball, whatever the case is. But it's a great event, and for that, and anything different that you guys are doing, or what were you looking? How are you looking forward to this?
Yeah, the bar's been set high. And so, we've put in a lot of effort to make sure that we're meeting that standard that's been set in the past. I think there'll be uniqueness to it. We don't want to change a lot, but it'll be unique because there'll be athletes there, and there'll be the same lineup of speakers as there has been historically. But there'll be athletes there. We'll be able to auction off some athlete specific things. Again, so there'll be a unique twist this year. But we're just trying to make sure we set the bar high. It's great for us, purely from an awareness standpoint. You get 1,000 people in a venue. That's 1,000 potentially new people that are hearing about you. So a great opportunity for us to be down there. It's a great event, and again, we're just trying to make sure that it's as successful as it has been in the past.
And it also is, I would venture to say that most of those people do not get it. And by those people, I mean the Southern Indiana fans, probably don't get an opportunity to go to games. Whatever reason, don't have tickets, they work, it doesn't matter why. And this is their only annual IU connection, and it's a huge thing, and people come to buy things to auction or whatever it is, and they look forward to it. But it is just become a freaking huge event.
Yeah, and again, this is our first try at something like this on this stage, that is this big. But if we see some really good success, this is something we can replicate around the state, I think. And
I was thinking that very thing.
Yep. And so we'll get a good taste out of this, and but it'll be great because we'll be able to bring players down and those Southern Indiana folks that can't make it up to a game, still get to meet players from the team, from a variety of sports. And that's the nice thing about NIL is there's that fan connection that you can create through these things.
Yeah, and we have listeners all over all over the world, but specifically in the state or various stations. And I was already thinking, I'm like, man, I'm surprised they don't do this. That I was surprised Indiana wasn't already doing this because it is so popular, and there's no way that, let's say, Fort Wayne, Evansville, we've done. There's just great IU audiences there. Indiana with the third largest living alumni association.
Second or third, yeah.
I know and Chicago is the second largest city with over 20,000 IU alumni there. This is something that Indiana is poised on to really be set, and I think you guys have done a great job of getting this going and building it. And that's the thing, is building it. And Indiana seems to be doing things a little differently, these events. And earlier, another thing I said, that coaches are not allowed to talk about dollars with players. I'm sure I would venture to say some do it anyway, though. They just cheat. How do the conversations with the new athletes go? The guys they're trying to recruit, how is that communicated to them officially and legally, I guess I'd say?
Well, I'm not in the room or on calls, but if I'm guessing, I presume it is using what current student athletes are getting, and there's no shortage of opportunities that current student athletes have, and not just opportunities, big opportunities, and so I think that's probably communicated, and I'd venture to guess that the student athletes are also communicating with the prospective athletes on just current opportunities here.
Yeah, they can. Yeah. Coaches can tell recruits what other guys have done and received and that, and but we hear about everyone uses Nigel Pack. It's just easy. So let's use the Nigel Pack example. We all knew before he even got to Miami that he signed a 2-year, $800,000 deal. We know that. We now know that Hunter Dickinson got screwed over at Michigan, was told things that he didn't receive, and made less than 6 figures, and probably is now making just under 7 figures. We know all that, but we never hear much about Indiana guys. How is that information getting out and those deals being made like that?
I think a lot of the concerns that people have related to NIL are things that would have been concerning had they just knew about it, how it happened previously before NIL, because a lot of this stuff happened before NIL. We don't need to joke about it. It's the reality. I think the concern is when people see it, right? And so some people are taking that same approach. There's a lot of publicity, right? A lot of it is a recruiting tool. So if someone talks about it, let's just use the Nigel Pack. That's a great recruiting tool. Something that public. It also can bite you later, which I think we'll see at some point.
And it did at Miami, actually. It didn't bite them, but instantly, Isaiah Wong, their star, said, "Wait, what the hell?" And so he said, "I got to have mine," which he did. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of, I think, what you're talking about there.
Well, that, and I think I think the NCAA will get involved, and they're not going to be going after NIL related things. You're going to see violations out there that happen that they're hesitant to point to NIL, but there was recruiting conversations or conversations that took place with donors or boosters prior to them coming to that school, and they can nail them. They'll nail them on that. And I think there's probably 10 to 15 current investigations going on that nobody knows about. So that process has to play out. And again, that's just the system. And it's hard because no one gets punished in real time. And so some people take the short-term benefit for the long-term ramifications down the road. IU's never been that way. I kind of like that. We care about the right things, and we're going to win the right way. It's not as graceful when you win and knowing you're cheating. I like winning the right way.
I said that earlier. I said the one thing that I do know from all the people that I talk to, and that's from inside people, from players, in the end, it doesn't cheat. I don't care what anybody thinks. They don't cheat. And by cheating, I'm talking about the cheating. Something that I firmly believe in with this, everything has gone 180 degrees in favor of the players, which is fine. But they have almost a little too much power now. They have more power than a professional athlete. And I really wonder if they need that much power. Anybody needs that much power. I think there should be contracts. If you're going to get paid, cool. Well, sign a 2-year contract, because it has changed the game so much. And I would never in a million years now, but I want to be a college basketball coach. Not only do you have to recruit these damn high school kids, you have to recruit the portal every year, and you have to recruit your own roster now. Again, so I think there should be contracts. Any chance do you see that in the future?
Yeah, I think we're a couple years, 3 to 5 years away from that, but we'll get there. A lot of things still have to play out, but it's inevitable at this point. I think revenue sharing is inevitable.
Ooh, that's a slippery slope there.
Yeah, and I think but that gives the opportunity to clean some of this stuff up, right? You can put them on contracts and require services for extended period of time, and agreeing, with however that contract's worded, which cleans up the transfer portal. It probably helps, with the current NIL environment. It probably lessens, or pushes that to a side just a little bit. So I think it'll clean it up. I really do. But I think it's got to play out, and it's probably 3 to 5 years away.
Yeah, and can you imagine just having a salary, a set? It doesn't have to be large, but a set salary for every player on the team. Basically Texas has that. Every offensive lineman gets at least $50,000.
You got to be on scholarship, though.
Well, details.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, I think I see that coming one day, and they can make their own other deals. But then when you think about that, okay, basketball is easy to do that. You got 13 scholarship players, but then there's women's basketball, then there's baseball. I don't even think you want to talk about football with 85 scholarship players. What the hell are you going to do there at a school that football is not the sport? But that's discussions for another day. But those are things that I see happening. Huber's coming up on the 31st. Again, we talked about that. Tickets available. We put the link out. John, do you have that handy? Please, if you do, put that up again. But you can go straight to the link. Tyler, what is that link?
John just put it up. HoogersForGood.org/Hubers. So yeah, that'll be a great event. There'll be a lot of people. It'll be fun. It's an awesome venue. If you've never been down to Hubers, it's a beautiful place. So it'll be a really fun event. And then 2 weeks later, we have our golf outing at French Lick, and that'll be another huge event down in French Lick. People will stay at the Baden, play the Pete Dye course. So it'll be a really fun event.
Now, the French Lick golf outing, is that an invite only?
Well, we are.
There's a gala or something with it, right?
There is. There's how it'll work is people arrive on Sunday, June 11th. They'll be able to do the Pete Dye course practice round on that day, and then there'll be a gala that night, and then everybody will stay at the Baden. The next day will be the scramble on the Dye course, and then you can stay again Monday night, June 12th. So it'll be fun. 2 rounds at the Dye course, 2 nights at the Baden. It'll be an awesome gift package for all the participants. So it'll be a really fun event, and meet players, meet coaches, all those type of things.
And where do they go to subscribe or to participate in that?
Yeah, it's HoosiersForGood.org/signature-golf-outing. I'll send you the link. It's hard to remember.
Yeah, send it, and then of course we'll put it out as soon as we do, and we'll send that out again. But anything that goes on in Prince Lake is freaking awesome. That's enough said there. What's going on your end that people don't know about that you'd like to spread the joy about?
Yeah, we just announced a class of athletes. My days are coming together. I can't remember if it was earlier this week or last week, but just announced a new class, 24 new IU athletes that span across 11 sports and 10 charity partners. We've got some new charity partners in this class, and I think we're up to 23 charitable organizations that we're making an impact with, which is just awesome. I hear all the great stories from charities after events, and just how meaningful this process is to them. And so it really shows we're onto something with this, that if we can use NIL in a way that's going to really help the community, get these kids out to make an impact, teach them valuable lessons of giving back. This community can be a special place.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's looking forward to all of it. Indiana has done an incredible job staying on top of this. You have done an incredible job guiding it, Colin Hartman along with you. How can people think that you have to be a $100,000, $50,000 donor to participate? And that is just absolutely not the case. There are so many, you guys have options for everybody on every level to participate and be a part of, and packages where they are a part of and receive things.
No. And if, especially on Hoosiers Connect, if we can be that first organization across the country that can figure out how to get the masses involved, that's a huge impact. One thing that's been a struggle with all these groups across the country is that subscription model, similar to Hoosiers Connect. And you don't have to be a millionaire. You don't have to do all this to participate. And if we can get the masses involved at even the lowest level, or even just the monthly, that's a huge impact. If we get 100,000 of IU alum given $10 a month, that's a lot. And so I would really encourage people to get involved, know you're helping, know you're making an impact. And in the process, either getting some great benefits in return, or seeing these kids get out in the community to impact some special causes.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's a large army that can come together for not very much. What are some of the, I hate, for lack of a better word, packages that are out there, and some of the things that someone would receive?
Yeah, on Hoosiers Connect, there's a variety of levels. There's $100 a month, $500 a month, $1,000 a month. There's corporate sponsors. All of them, as you tier up, have more unique benefits associated with that. But we've even opened up to just monthly subscriptions, where Colin will do some interviews, and you'll get a sneak peek at those. But then we also do some really cool, like, raffle items, signature things from your favorite athletes. So there's a variety of benefits involved. We just encourage everybody to get involved and make an impact, because regardless if it's $1, $10, $50, $1,000, you're still making an impact, and that's what's important, and helping us.
Absolutely. And we look forward to seeing you down at Huber's on the 31st. But of course, hopefully I'll see you before then. Maybe, who knows? Maybe in an hour or so.
Yeah, you got a spot for me?
Absolutely. Come on out. That's going to wrap it up for us today, man. Tyler, I can't thank you enough as always. Look forward to having you on again, as we'll do this as often as we can to keep the people apprised and let them know how they can participate, because it's the difference maker, man. It's you don't have to like it, but you got to accept it. And if you want to enjoy the benefits of seeing that, you got to step in and help. It's like voting. Don't vote, can't bitch, right?
Yeah, I think Colin said that on your show one of these times. If you don't vote, you can't complain about who's elected.
That's exactly right.
But no, as always, Jim, thank you for spreading the good word about what we do. It helps, as always, as we continue to try to raise awareness for all the options we have.
Absolutely. We appreciate you, man. Appreciate you being on. Tyler Harris, the executive director of Hoosiers for Good. We'll have the link up for you to go to there if you'd like to visit that, as well as Hoosiers Connect with Colin Hartman, the director on that side. Well, man, appreciate you very much. Go out and have yourself a great day.
Thank you. Yeah, hopefully we'll be on the golf course with you, and then we got a softball game tonight.
Softball. Looking forward to it. Hey, everybody else, I cannot thank you enough as well. Big thanks to Alec Bussey as he is on his way to Dallas for the Nike YBL. Zach Osterman from the Indy Star. Stacy Bruce from the Bloomington Chamber of Commerce. Tyler Harris, of course, executive director of Hoosiers for Good. John, the producer, for keeping us between the white lines. And most importantly, you guys, without you, we've got no reason to be here. Until Monday, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.